I'm curious why the name. But then this morning we discuss matters marriage after infidelity. Can it work? So this cuts across and encompasses marriages and also, relationships. So the whole affair happened mkiwa pamoja, and then later on, mnajaribu kuifix. We're giving you tips on how can you even fix it? Do you have to have all that energy in fixing it and all that? And so our question of the day for you is, do you think a relationship or marriage can recover after infidelity? Tafuta credit sai 0795-045-864 is our number to call in live. Lines are open. You can always call in live. 22047 is our SMS number. TV47KE on Facebook. And even as we begin, Nick James Paul says it all depends on your definition for the word infidelity. Where does infidelity occur on polygamous families? What an interesting question that Pasi atakuwa natujibu. First off, Pasi.
Yes.
Benwa Migate. Is that hiyo ni jini kwa kawaida ama?
La hasha, kwanza nisalimie mtazamaji wetu wa TV47 na nimwambie karibu sana kwenye hiki kipindi. Na nimwambie kwamba hilo sijo jina ambalo liko kwenye kitambulisho.
How did that name come to be?
That name came by the song that I sang by the year 2012. And it came out of a certain message that was preached by my bishop in the church. And so the definition that I got in my mind, it came out as a song. And I composed the song, and I sang the song when I went to the producer and we produced the song. And later on, when I was doing my video shooting, I decided to make a crusade. And at the crusade, I bought loaves of bread and fish, and people, they take literally. So that is when they nicknamed me after.
And they nicknamed you Ben Omigate.
Yes.
All right.
And I can tell you for sure, you should not despise anything, whatever it is, or however small it is. Because out of that name, so many people have been curious to know that name and why.
Oh, yes.
I am being called Wamigate. And it is there. And that one is my brand name now.
I'm actually pronouncing it wrongly, probably. But then now, even as we begin for this conversation,
yes.
So there's a Zimbabwean proverb, although from Zimbabwe. And this proverb says, a man who does not lie shall never marry. A man who does not lie shall never marry. What's your interpretation of that proverb?
Okay, it depends by who is getting that message too. Because as a Christian person, you should not lie. Why should you lie then? If you lie, then you're not a truthful person. And if at all you want to make it in life, and in fact, all people that have ever failed, they have ever failed because of lying. And that is why you find that even in the society, so many people are doing things the way that are not supposed to be done because they are lying. But if you become a person who can speak the truth and out of your heart, let it be what you're saying, then you're going to survive and you're going to make it. But when it comes to marriage, some people, they say so. And you find that even when people, they are getting married, they lie. And when that person will come to realize she was lied to, she will just accept it because now it has happened.
But suppose there are white lies that some say, I'm not in a marriage, obviously, but I hear that some white lies do save, the day-to-day happenings in a marriage. How true would that be?
That is people's perception and their views. But we cannot, if then we can live in lie, then we can't make it in life.
All right.
You better be who you are, because at long last, we will come to get the truth in you and who you are.
And I love the fact that
will come to the limelight.
All right.
Yes.
I love the fact that you say you be who you are.
Yes.
So now even as you get into this conversation, because you say there's no really point of lying. So now it get your stand on matters, infidelity around it.
Yes.
Now I'm curious, from your profession, from even the church, how will you describe infidelity?
In fact, it is something that has disturbed so many people, even in Christian life. Because some people, they are not just. And when they are doing things, they are outside, they think that the truth will never come out. And you find that someone will go out and cheat and have affairs there outside. And some people, they think that having sexual affairs is the real infidelity. But even having, arousing your emotions even by online or sort of through the phone and such a things, in fact, you are doing wrong. Because your mind will still think about somebody else outside your marriage, which is not supposed to be so.
But where is the line? Because, for example, marriage,
Yes,
maybe as a gentleman or maybe even the wife, and you probably met someone, Nile, you have some very common interests with this person. You have also a few interests with your wife, yes. Probably that's why both of you got married. But then convo na huyu mtu mwingine mmepatana imeshika. And then so where do you draw the line between you probably ulikuwa tu kwa nyumba and you're starting to think about this other person. Haujaingia deep bado, hamjaanza kupatana, but then you in the spur of a moment you just think about this other person. Where do you draw the line hapo?
Wajua sasa watu wengi huwa wanajidanganya ya kwamba hata kana kwamba haonekani, anafikiria ya kwamba yale mambo anayafanya haitakuja kugunduliwa. Lakini nataka nikwambie tu kweli, mambo mengine unafaa kuweka mipaka. You put a boundary to where you are. The reason as to why usipoweka mipaka karibu na utavunja boma yako. And let alone you come to cry for something that umejenga kwa mrefu, then utaibomoa single day, because rafiki yako ama mke wako atakuja kugundua ukweli wa mama. Kuna wengine huvunjika moyo sana, na kuna wengine ambao uamuzi ambao ni uamuzi katika maisha. But the fact that if that person
right
can really put boundaries,
okay, right,
make things work out,
all right,
it wanna be better.
All right.
Yes.
And remember, you can always be part of this conversation. 0795045864. Utuambie, in case you're in a marriage, or you're thinking into getting into the marriage whole realm, na maybe umeanza kuona some red signs hapa yenye mtu, by the way, ni kama kuna kamtu mahali. You've started doing the whole kind of DCI jobo pale, na umeona by the way kuna mtu mahali, or you maybe even in the whole marriage, maybe 1 year, 2 years into it, and imefanyika, but then you're trying to see, how can I actually recover this? I mean, tunapendana, but mtu alinikosea sana, akanikosea sana. How do we get into this? Do you have to go to the therapist and msikizane vizuri, msikize kitu therapist anasema and all that? Keep talking to us. Phone line are open. 0795045864 is our number. And actually, when you call in, tell us your name, when you're calling us from, and utuambie, if you're bold enough, utuambie mimi kama makosa ilifanyika. Makosa ufanyika, tunaelewa, na makosa ikafanyika, and this is what me and babe did, and this is how we recovered. Also, in part of your experiences, kama ilikataa, pia unaweza tuambia, bedhe tulijaribu, he or she had an affair, and ikakataa kabisa. And this is what we did on Facebook, just to take a look at what you are saying. Duncan Kirimi says, show me one marriage where there's no infidelity, and I'll show you a dash mother of 3 kids. And basically saying, show your virgin mother of 3 kids. Jane Muthoni says, I guess, yes, it depends. For one, why did you do it? Wasn't me good enough? Did me/you refuse to give you conjugal rights? Did I not provide everything you ever wanted? Then I can forgive and forget. That is according to Jane Muthoni. And ladies, gentlemen, tuambieni, because now there's a whole, ladies will have their own perspective and gentlemen will have their own perspective. So when you started, you gave us your definition of infidelity, and I was also curious, where do you really draw the line? when it comes to, so this is in infidelity. Lakini hii bado hatujaingia. So mimi nataka kujua bado ile uko kwa ile stage bado hamjaingia. Because as much as unasema hizo lines nazo zinaweza kuwa blurry. Unaweza kuwa ulipatana na mtu and for example you're a very outgoing person and you know mkapatana in the connections and everything and things were very smooth na huyu mtu unamfikiria tu how do you know that hapa by the way nimeanza kuvuka boda ya ni kama imeanza kubuild up as an affair.
You know, inside the heart of the man there is a spirit that speaks to that man. It will definitely, if your conscience is alive, definitely you will feel that I am not on the right way. So you yourself, you must make your own decision and make your own rules and make your own decision that I will not go beyond this and I cannot do this. The reason as to why, if you just think of how you started your relationship before you got married, you will find that you did not just come one morning and you said that I'm going to get married. No. You started, and marriage is a journey. So when you started, you moved a step by step until you came to closer. When you decided that now, it's now, and I will never do anything else without you. So by the time that you started dating that person, you had your own vision, you had your own mind of making decisions. So what there is if you keep on talking to this person, your feelings will arouse and you're building something else beside what you have. And I can tell you for free that as the saying goes, the beautiful ones are not yet born. You should note that you will never live without seeing the beautiful ones. So it is upon you to decide, because all of them, they cannot be yours. For example, King Solomon had 1,000 wives, if you can call them. But did you see as if he got the best of happiness he could? No, he didn't. So even if you look for another person beside the one that you have in the house, it won't make it. It won't make any difference. And if you're not satisfied with that person that you have in the house, even they are outside, whether you are an outgoing person, it won't make any difference, because after that person, you will feel about another person whom you will meet and whom you will meet and engage with, because you will keep on asking, I think she can be good more than what I have felt there. So can I look for that one? You'll keep on doing so. And that is when you ruin your life forever. The reason as to why, because no one will trust you. And the best thing that we can say here is, we are not here to discourage those people that are there. Because there are some people that are there unknowingly.
Right.
Some of them, they were trapped. Some of them, they do not even understand that they are addicted to some extent that they have moved out of their house without their knowledge that, what am I doing?
And now for that, because we had said for both genders, for the man and also the woman, they probably have their different reasons. And you're saying for some, mtu anaweza jipata tu aliingia tu pale, and they don't really know, how did I actually reach here? So and I'm curious, Pasi, for the woman, when she thinks about, probably you'll actually even tell us, do you find yourself in this situation now for the man and woman, or unajipata tu hapo? Do you actually have to, is it premeditated? So you say, I've lived with this person for some length of time, but then let me get out, let me have an affair. Or is it, does it just happen? First of all, before we even get into the difference of the genders and how they get into it, does it just happen, or is it premeditated?
Unajua kila kitu wakati kinapotendeka kuna mahali kilianzishwa. Kwa mfano kama sasa kabla hii studio itengenezwe, kuna mtu alikuwa nayo kwa mawazo yake. And that is how it is. Something that is created in your mind and it is built. And later on, itakuja kuwa kitu kama hii studio na vile imerembeka na vile iko nzuri. Na hakuna mtu apendezwi na hii studio. Hivyo ndivyo ilivyo kwa mawazo ya mwanadamu. Utapata kwamba anaingilia kwa jambo ambalo hakuwa amelifikiria, lakini wakati alipoanza kulifikiria basi akaingia pale. Kwa mfano, akiona hiki ni kikombe cheupe, ataanza kufikiria, na nikitumia hiki kikombe itakuwaje? Na haya ni maua. Hivyo ndivyo navyo, either mwanamke ama mwanaume anaweza ingia kwenye majaribu na mateso ya akili. Ni majaribu na mateso ya akili, maana kwanza mtu huteseka kwa akili na huwa amejaribiwa kwa akili. Sasa anatoka kwenda kufanya kile kitendo. So ni vyema either ni mwanamke ama ni mwanamume tujue ya kwamba wote wana hisia. Na everybody who has a feeling, that person can move out. It doesn't matter who he is or who she is. The fact that remains is we have to put control. If at all we want to win this battle, we have to put control in everything. If you don't put control, in fact, relationship is even like working in a certain company like this one. If there is no rules and regulations in this company, everybody can do whatever he wants or she wants. And that is how in a family it should be. The father and the mother, or the woman and the man, they should set their rules, and they should know that I have to mind about my partner. Because how would you feel? And I always ask some people, put yourself into the shoes of that person that you have had, and try to imagine what that person is feeling. If you cannot feel good, then that person is not feeling good. Though there is a room of forgiveness, but you should note that even if there is a room of forgiveness, that person, because you triggered, that person will never forget. Even if you try as much as you can, that person will never forget that such and such a time there is this thing that happened. So what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to avoid the things that can make us to fall into those temptations, and we should teach and train our minds and our thinking that we are focused on such and such a person. I am focused to my wife, you are focused to your husband. That is when you'll make it. But if you feel that you can accommodate everybody in your heart, then you will become a person who is, I cannot be able to say it, but you'll become a disorganized person.
But see, how different is it for the man and wife getting into an affair? Do they have different reasons when they probably find themselves in an affair?
But yeah, some of them, they say that when they got, and in fact this is something that has been fair. Some people, they normally say that when we got married and when we were in our young age, the love was very hot. But when we started having children, our love started becoming somehow lukewarm, because the mother took the love to the children. But that is not how it should be. The father should understand that the mother can take the care of that child because it is offspring of theirs, both of them. And that child should be taken care of by the mother because the mother is the closest person to understand the child than a father. The other thing is, some of them, they say that when we were dating and when we were coming together, in fact, you cannot even imagine that some people, they were calling each and every time and they were texting through the phone. But when they stayed for about 1 year or 2 years, that kind of texting and WhatsApping that person started diminishing very slowly, very slowly. And now somebody feels that, who has this person is now texting or talking to? Because he has not been talking to me. Or you find that when you text, the text is getting a long time before it's replied. And you started thinking, why is my wife is not replying my text? What is it? And there was a time that she was replying immediately.
But then now, and just refresh so that question for the difference for the man and the wife. So which gender goes for longevity when it comes to the affair? Akijipata kwa hiyo affair ingine, which gender will be going for, now I'm cheating on my man or maybe my wife because I want to have something longer with this person that I'm seeing. Which gender will be inclined to do that?
Mwanaume atazidiwa.
Yes, ziendea the long.
Atazidiwa, ataenda sana. Mwanamke ndiye hawezi akaenda sana.
Okay.
Kwa sababu mwanamke hujirudia kwa haraka. Na mawazo yake huwa ya kwamba ni ya kubondeka kwa haraka. Akishabondeka kwa haraka anajirudia na anaona kwamba nitaharibu boma yangu kwa sababu ya mtu mwingine. Hapana. Lakini mwanaume utapata ya kwamba anajipiga kifua. I'm the man. And even I can marry 2 or 3 wives. By the time you realize that you have gone to the wrong way and you have taken a long time before realizing that you have gone to the wrong way, then inachukua muda mrefu sana kabla yeye kujirudia na kuelewa. Na hapo ndipo unapata kwamba wanawake wengine wakifanya uamuzi wa kuondoka hawarudi nyuma, kwa sababu alijaribu awezavyo akashindwa. Lakini wanaume pia huwa ninaomba Mungu sana awasaidie na awajalie, maana yeye kuanguka kwa mtihani ni haraka sana. Atapata mtu na mtu atajipendekeza kwake, labda kwa mfano anataka usaidizi, na kwa sababu sasa wanaume na wao ni wale wengine wa kubebwa haraka na ule upepo wa mapenzi, unapata kwamba ameenda kabla ajipate na elewe ya kwamba nimekosea, haikuwa msaada tu, ilikuwa mpaka mapenzi.
So opinion yako ni mwanaume now can sustain the affair than the woman.
Yes, and we should for sure talk to men, because our men sometimes they fail much. And because they are the provider in the house, they should know that what they are doing, it should be pleasing their wives, not other people's. They are outside.
Right, but see, hold that thought there. I want to take a short break. Jane Gitao, psychologist, will be joining us. And I'm curious, her own point of view on the same. Who between the man and the woman can actually sustain the affair, you know, if wajipate hapo ndani. You could always be part of this conversation. Our phone numbers are open, 0795045864. Iko pale tu chini kwa screen yako, you'll be seeing it even after this particular short break. Tukienda break, tafuta credit, utupigie simu. I told you, share all those experiences that you've had. Maybe ni sahihi, maybe hata uko kwa cafe sahi, utuambie, upate expert opinion hapa, venye unaweza toka hapo hivyo. Ama kama hii ndio utabaki tunayo. Stick around. 22047 is our SMS number. At TV47KE on Facebook, we're asking you, do you think a relationship or marriage can recover after infidelity? The same question is posted on our Facebook page. Unaweza pale and you comment and give us your feedback. Stick around. and I'm usually Stanley Jerengita, and we're discussing matters relationships. In case you're just joining us right now, discussing matters infidelity in a marriage, in a relationship. Do you think it can work? And again, you can always call in live. Our phone numbers are open: 0795 045 864. Talk to us. Throw in those questions that you may have, throw in those experiences. Unaweza frame your experience ikae ni kama it is your friend who did that. Kumbe ni wewe. And tell us, what do you think about this conversation? And earlier on, we were discussing this with Ben Migate, who's a pastor, and Jane Kitao has also joined us, a psychologist. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Apart from a psychologist, any other hats on your head?
Yeah, I'm a certified mediator and an evangelist.
Fantastic. So I'm getting the view of the church from both of you.
Precisely, but also the psychological bit.
Most definitely.
Yeah,
When you
most
start,
of it actually.
When you started, I had posed this proverb to Pasi, and it says, "A man who does not lie shall never marry." It's a Zimbabwean proverb. What do you make of it?
Well, I think probably being an African proverb, maybe it's an entry point. You see, it's a good entry point whereby probably you're lying to the person just to put them into the box. But now once they get into the box, it's a different ball game. Yeah. But when you're wooing them, kinda, it may sound like that, like you're trying to lie. And again, remember, you're choosing from many. So it's not like you're going to all of them telling them, I'm marrying you, I'm marrying you, I'm marrying you. So the fact that you're likely to be checking with this, checking with that, you may look like a liar. But in actual sense, it's like you're trying to check for the best.
Right.
That's the way I look. Personally, that's the way I get it.
Right. In your own view, because now we've got Pasi's view of the definition of infidelity from the religious realm. As a psychologist, how would you describe infidelity?
Well, infidelity has different ways of looking at it, because infidelity is not just all about marriage. I mean, it's not just about sexual. It can also be emotional infidelity. And so basically it is about a multiple relationship, So like if you talk about emotional infidelity, is where you start confiding your things with a certain body, sharing, for example, even a lady or even a fellow man, you're telling them quite a bit about your primary relationship. You find like you're kind of discussing your wife or your husband with another party out there. And so without knowing it, you're investing your emotions or your feelings on somebody else. And basically, we also now have the sexual infidelity. And at one point, you also have both, where you have the emotional and sexual infidelity, which sometimes can really get dangerous, because it is very, very easy for that person that you have invested your emotions in and sexual infidelity now becoming, going all the way. Yeah, but otherwise, emotional infidelity, you don't have to necessarily be participating sexually. Yeah.
And Pasi was also telling us that his view is the man would likely, if getting into the affair, the man would likely sustain it longer than the woman. Do you agree?
Oh, yes and no, because especially today's woman is very different from yesterday's woman. Yesterday's woman was cared about what the society talked about. But today's woman is really different. It's quite strong, and it's quite, I mean, she has a lot of, let me say, emotional muscles. Sometimes women even have better muscles than men, because sometimes when a woman is going out there, sometimes it's even harder to discover than a man. So yesterday's woman was very concerned about the society, what the society said, was very concerned about building their home. But today's woman is reasonably different. Yeah, so it depends on the upbringing, how somebody has been socialized. Then the nurture is very, very key in this space, because depending on how you've been nurtured, you may look at it and out of guilt, because you see, infidelity brings about guilt and shame. And it is true, sometimes guilt and shame will eat a woman more than man. But as I said earlier, yesterday's woman was very different. The shame, there's a way she would walk with shame. But today's woman, where Ni mnoma.
Don't really care what the society has to say.
Yeah.
But then I'll proceed. So how would the significant other receive or should receive such news that maybe ameambiwa ama amefanya DCI yake, investigations akapata my significant other is having an affair out there. How should he or she receive such kind of information?
As I told you earlier that everybody has got feelings.
Yeah.
And when you had that feeling of that person that you are saying that you love most, then you are endangering the life of both of you, because every part of you will lose.
Yeah.
If it comes to a point of making decision to part ways, everybody will lose. But when it comes to time of talking and mending your marriage or your relationship, it will take a long way. And I told you that even if you talk about it and you find a way of solving that problem, that is how it will remain. So it is upon you to make a decision of what you are doing. Because I told you, in your brain and in your heart, if your conscience are really, truly alive, then before you get into such an act or to such a situation, you must have thought in your mind, and then umeshindwa sasa control mind yako, and that is when you'll find yourself in a trap, of which as Jean has told us, watu siku hizi wengi wanajipiga kifua kwa sababu wengi wanasema wamejiweza, na ni kweli, but even if you have reached to that point, was you getting into that relationship just for getting in it, or you are meaning it? That is something that you should ask yourself before you make an action. And I give you an example of King Solomon. He had got so many wives, lakini hakuridhika. Kwa nini? Kwa sababu moyo wa mwanadamu umeumbwa ukiwa na vacuum. Lazima unahitaji huyo mpenzi wako awe rafiki yako wa karibu na muwe mnaongea na yeye, na usije ukamuudhi kwa sababu ya kwamba hana ile uwezo. Wakati na yeye ataamua, you will feel it. So you must think before you take all those actions. You must think first what will be the outcome.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And I think it is very, very key that you realize you need to separate properties or materials with the relationship.
Yes.
So this issue of I feel like when you picked me, I was down there. Now kind of I've been able to develop. Niko na gari yangu, niko na nyumba yangu. This is neither here nor there, because you see, even if you have all these things, relationship really has got nothing to do with properties.
Yes.
Because even if, for example, you stayed in this very nice estate with or even if you are left in this very house with all the nice cars, you can't relate with them. And so it is very, very important for us to look at relationship differently and know that we are in this boat together. Yeah.
Yes.
We're in this boat together. So once it is sink, we all go down.
Yes.
So now, as a team, because I'm getting from both of you, at the end of the day, you're a team. So this affair has happened. So do you mend it as a team, ama who bears the biggest brand here, repairing whatever happened? Is it is it whoever was in that affair, or did all that infidelity? Yeye ndio kuna the biggest brand here, na responsibility here. Let me mend this. Then mwingine ni kumsukuma tu, ama anamwachia, si wewe ndio ulienda nje, si ushughulika basi.
Well, I think we need to know that this thing brings guilt and shame. Unfortunately, not to the person who went out, just went out. It is for both of you. Because you see, for example, if he's my husband, he went out there, he's ashamed because he has brought about betrayal into the marriage. But me, the wife, I'll also be ashamed in the sense that if I was to discuss it with my buddies out there, I would be feeling like maybe I have a problem. That is why he went, you see? So as much as you'll be ashamed, I'll be equally ashamed. And if we are losing it, for example, if you have children, yeah, they will be affected by this whole thing. Because you see, it can, besides the guilt and shame, it also bring about loneliness. I was set up for this. We've been married for 30 years, for example. I'm no longer a girl, neither is he any longer a young man.
Yeah.
So it means that if this thing fall apart, you know, we'll need to start all over again. And so as I'll be starting all over again, he'll also be starting all over again. So both of us are losing. And then now the worst losers in this case are the children. Because the children don't know whether to go with the father, they don't know whether to go with the mother. They don't know what really brought about this, because if the father is a father who went out, then could I be the one who pushed him out?
But in a case where there are no kids, and now I'm bringing the whole, because you're saying, for example, married for 30 years. So is it easier to fix a marriage and a relationship that has lasted for quite a long time? Because, you know, at the end of the day, you're like, oh, we've built this and this and this and this together. Compared to what walioana last year Valentine's, wakisema, you know what? So they're only, let's say, 1 year into that marriage, and there are no kids yet involved. Pasi, do you think for a marriage that has lasted for quite a long time, it's easier to fix it?
Let me say that though it cannot take long to speak to one another, because if you have stayed for a long time in marriage, then you must be having an experience. Not just like the people that got married just the other day. And you see, as my colleague have said, there is investments in it. All those years, you can just imagine somebody living together in the same house, waking up in the morning and you find that person, you talk to each other, you have invested in so many things, you have your own investments, like even having that love, intimacy. I am telling you, even if it is what will cause you to part, you will feel, no, I cannot allow it. The reason as well is because if at all you love each other and you have respect to each other person, in fact, you cannot let it go just like that. No. Loving somebody and you have lived with that person, it can, for sure, and I'm telling you for free, it can even cause psychologically disorder in your mind because of thinking, now, where will I start? Because somebody who have lived for 30 years in marriage, that person is not a kid.
Yeah.
That person got married when she or he was an adult of something to do with 20 or 25 years.
Yeah.
Now add 30 years on top of those 25 years.
Then they're 50s, are they?
They are 50 there. Do you think that it is easy for that person to break and let it go? It can't be so.
But then now, because these two, because we've agreed that they're a team, so these two sit down and say, okay, fine, let's fix this, But then now, how do external factors play in? Because utapata in laws, na society, be a church, all those external factors come in, into play, because they've seen this marriage for quite a long time. But then how do they come into play such that they either alter how both of you are going to stay together, or mseme hapana, in-laws nani si alipiga simu akasema wewe una cheat, hapana, mimi hata sitaki sasa kukaa na wewe.
Yeah, interestingly, it is happening right now. It's easier to part in your 50s after you have stayed long than even when you have stayed fewer years, nowadays especially. Why? Because, as I told you, today's woman include that old woman who is living today,
As long as they're in this 21st century digital era.
Because you see, a time comes in, and like now Pasi is saying, that yesterday woman was equally managed by the spiritual aspect of life. Meanwhile, church, like you're heading these groups in the church.
Yes.
You really cared what the church said, you really cared what your in-laws said, you cared. Yeah. But a time has come when people are saying, I cannot continue living for others. Lazima sasa niishi maisha yangu. I have to live my life. And this is where you're seeing, like, today's woman.
In our generation, we call it YOLO. Precisely.
Now, your children have gone to America, have gone to wherever. So mom is called. Na naenda akiendanga. You see, that's a form of divorce. And so what happens is that at such a point, you start now recounting, you revisit the back. you start revisiting what your husband did, how he used to move with whoever it is, or this emotional infidelity, as I said earlier. So you start recounting, and you see the kind of discomfort that you have been able to live, or the sacrifices you have made. And you see many women who actually agreed to leave, they lived for the children, you see? And now it happens that these very children who made this woman stay have already launched, they have gone, they're already having their homes. And so now you've been left with the monster that literally hurt you. And the kids were neutralizing or even balancing, you know, but now the people who are balancing, they're already gone. And so the monster has now been left. And so what happens is that you start revisiting, because as he said, it is true. Infidelity will trigger mental illness. It creates trauma. It actually triggers PTSD, which is a post-traumatic stress disorder. And so what will happen is that if you try to sense something, you know, if you try to sense something, it triggers what he did when you were 2 years in marriage. Yeah. But again, now for a young person who have been married for 1 year or 2 years, and you start infidelity at that particular point, of course, automatically that's the red flag. For me, I'll move away very fast, because these are red flags. And in fact, if you entertain them, it will go all the way. And as you can see, this woman of 50 years or 60 years is already reacting to what happened to them when they were married for 2 years. You know, but now they are reacting at 50 years. So if I was to see it at 2 years in marriage, then that is a clear red flag.
So, per se, she says, if she sees it at that time, maybe it's 2 years in, she's moving away very, very fast. But then, so now what happens if, you know, at that moment, you know, your information iko hapo, mnaongea kwa sitting room na mnasema, so this is what happened, blah, 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 blah. So what should be the first step for both parties?
Wajua, mtu anafaa kuelewa ya kwamba kila mwanadamu, kama vile nilikuwa nimekuambia, ana hisia zake, na wakati unapoumiza yule mtu itakuwa ni hata kama atapona, na nitashinda nikikwambia hivyo, hata kama atapona kile kilema kitasalia. Na kwa hivyo inafaa kwamba wakati mnapoongea ujali unaongea nini. Usije sasa ukamsongesha zaidi kuliko kumleta karibu. Because there is a way that you can talk and you push that person away rather than bringing that person closer to you, which it won't make any sense. So the best thing is, first and foremost, you cool down. And when you realize that you have done a mistake, accept it. However it will cost you, just accept it, because you're not there to waste time for each other. You are there to move on and to make life better. But if you don't mind about others' welfare, then you are not meant to get married or to be involved in such a relationship, because you have to be mature enough to know that this person is as I am. It is only that she's a woman or I'm a man. And she has or he has his own feelings.
Very true.
Why should you hurt that person, and yet you wouldn't like somebody else to hurt you?
So Kopale, so both of you, so as the person who, you know, stepped out, so the first bit is self-acceptance, and also kubali, you know, being humble.
Yes.
Kubali ishe.
So now after, because fine, you mekubali. So at what point now, like, how do you involve a mediator? Because you're telling us you're a mediator.
Yeah,
so,
I'm a certified mediator.
So so maybe mimi niko na mtu wangu hapa. Na labda yeye ndio ali step nje. Sitaki kusema ni mimi ndio ninge step nje. So labda yeye aka step nje. Akakuja akaniambia, you know what, Stanley, this is what and this and what. So tukaona, because tumekuwa pamoja, let's seek a mediator. Fine, you know, she akakubali and everything, kubali, fine. So at what point does a mediator come in to play? Is it, so the length of, is it immediately? Tumesema, fine, I'm sorry, nini. Do we take the phone and say, hey, Jane, tungependa tusaidie immediately, ama for maybe a few weeks, a few days?
Yeah, I think first of all, like Pastor has said, it is you acknowledge that what you've done for sure is wrong. And first of all, just like Pastor has said, it's good for you to respect the fact that I'm human, just like you're human. So the aspect of you thinking this is a woman, I'm a man, and you know, So that is neither here nor there. If you calm down and come to your senses and accept that what for sure you have done is wrong, you know, and agree to your partner, you know, mediator only come in when there is disagreement. Or probably if you do soul searching, because we need also to discuss what took you out there. It's only fair to ask yourself some investigating questions, you know, not things just to make you guilty. Like your woman may start, okay, oh, you're a man. You might start asking me, so now how was that man? So how did you feel, you know? That is not, that's neither here nor there.
So hizo maswali hazifai kuulizwa kabisa.
No, we should ask a serious question, investigating question, like what took you there? You know, like that is very key. Maybe there is something I've been not doing right, or maybe you also have a problem. You who went out, maybe you don't satisfy me or whatever. Maybe emotionally, because remember you're talking about sexual infidelity, and you're also talking about emotional infidelity, which eventually is likely to take you out there and find yourself also participating in intimacy with other people. So the first question is, if you're agreeable that there is a problem, then the next thing is that you can, if I have a problem, I can go for counseling to be helped. Maybe I have issues, I'm not confident, I'm all this. If there is a problem between us two and we cannot agree, yeah, this is where the mediator come in. But there is a way you can still resolve the issues, both of you, without necessarily involving a third party. But I can always say that a mediator anytime is way better than a third party in terms of a friend, you know, in terms of a friend. Also, the counseling comes in very, very handy. And when I talk about counseling, I am an evangelist, but for some reason, for me, I don't encourage like that you go to church for pastor to counsel you. I'm sorry. I am an evangelist, but me, I don't. Why? Because
will be telling us
because of the most of them, not all of them, they only focus on the spiritual aspect.
Right.
You see? And you know, you want real things. You want somebody to be real with you. So it is only fair to go to a person who will have an approach, an all-round, wholesome approach.
So as a certified mediator, have you had couples coming in and you talk about, they probably say, we want to have a divorce and, you know, get into it?
Yes.
So now I'm curious, mostly when an affair happened and this couple divorced, is it mostly because of that affair, or both of them just gave up trying?
Most of the time it's because both of them gave up trying, or probably one exaggerated. Because you see, there's also issue of exaggeration. Because as Pastor said, there is nothing that is not forgivable. And interestingly, it looked like infidelity, sexual in this case, sexual infidelity is the worst. It's a crime in the marriage. Okay. It is kinda, but just because it touches so much on the foundation. Because you see, infidelity breaks the trust. And you know, trust is the basis, the foundation of a relationship.
Yeah.
So that is why infidelity, that is, okay, sexual. I'll keep on going back to sexual because you're also talking about emotional. Like now you're working here. You may find yourself drawing close to a certain lady and you find yourself confiding quite a lot. And in the process, you even start discussing your wife. You know, my wife didn't do this last night, didn't do. So without knowing, you are building emotional infidelity. You're actually creating from emotional infidelity. And before you know it, you might actually go ahead and get sexual, you know? So it is only when both of you have hit a snag, you can't agree. And you know, you are exaggerating these issues, that now the third party comes in. A mediator now will come in to help you break down this issue. What you think is a mountain, I'll bring it down for you. You know, unailima, you break those rocks. I bring them down and I'm like, eish, this is what you are calling a mountain. Are you still referring to this as a mountain? After I brought down those rocks for you, and then you'll be like, wow, kumbe, it's not even a big deal, you know? Or even that valley. You think you've sunk so deep, yet kumbe, we can just level it for you. Because like even now, if you leave me or you leave that lady for that man, or that man for that other woman, that other man, how sure are you that they'll not betray you? Because once you have been betrayed, the problem with people who have been betrayed, they can hardly relate well. Because every time they have that thing already working against them. You know, if I try another relationship, I'm already seeing danger.
All right, let me finalize this last question kwa Pasi before nipate final thoughts zenu. Now, I mean, still on the same, talking about how seeking this recovery kwa mediator, but then now kwa church, because juxtapositioning kwa harusi, paseta kwa pale, nini, looking beautiful, but then on the other picture, this couple imekuja kwenu kwa church. What kind? How do you, in the religious realm, how do you handle that?
As my colleague have said, Jean, there is one thing that I normally say. And in fact, I am a pastor and I am not fighting the church. But in most cases, I normally tell people, if at all you think that you're not satisfied on getting a solution of your marriage in the church, then look for a counselor. The reason as to why, in most cases, as she has said, some pastors, and I'm very sorry to say so because I'm a pastor and I am ordained, and I serve God at the last minute Christian church. I want to say this. Some people, they will just base this thing on spirituality rather than basing it as us we are living in this world. Because we are not yet in heaven. Yeah. So you have to understand that these are two different things. There are heavenly things and earthly things. Yeah. So when these people, they come to you, you must be neutral. You will not just push them. The Bible says, the Bible says. The same Bible tells me that no one was created to be a slave to any other person. Yeah. No. You are not created to be a slave. So for us to look for the best solution, we must, all of us, contribute in it, and everyone has to give his or her own views. Right. And then we chip in. If it gets worse, then we look for the counselors, and that is where we will get in and tell that person, now, look here, this is not the Bible, because when you came to me and telling me that you need this girl or you want this and this, right, you did not come with the Bible.
And in any case, the same Bible talks about the divorce.
As final thoughts.
Yeah. Yes. The basis of divorce is actually what? Infidelity.
Yes.
So that is why we should have to look at it from different aspects. The spiritual aspect, because you might keep on hitting on you on the spiritual aspect, but you're the very person who will say, Bible says.
The Bible says.
Yeah, that I can only leave you on the basis of men.